I'm going to ask you your favorite Pokemon in a minute, but first...
And welcome back. It's the Garrett and Kyle podcast. I'm Garrett. He's Kyle.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent.
Yeah, you doing all right? Are you feeling as energized as a Pikachu car?
I'm just happy to be sitting over a hot, steamy pile of games, you know? It's been a long time since there's been at least like even 2 games that I was interested in a single presentation.
2022 is not the year of games.
No, well, yeah,
it's a lot of things, but bursting at the seams with new games to play is not one of those things.
No. But I got my Amazon Prime Online, so I got myself that free StarCraft Remastered this week and palled around in there.
Wait, you get that free with is that like what, the Twitch Prime thing where you get free bonuses, or is there an Amazon thing that I'm not privy to?
Yeah, there's Amazon Gaming. So much like you would have your Epic store, Amazon has a store and they give away free stuff. Like
I think I already own that game.
But you go in there and you like connect your account and then it's part of your BattleNet launcher. So it's not like Epic where you have to like house the game in a different house and you have to go out there with your keys and unlock it in the snow and be like, oh, am I going to play Jurassic Park? You know, like it's all the way over there.
I think you might have an AC issue if it's getting cold every time you launch the Epic Store, Kyle.
I've got a beef with the Epic Store, but it's entirely based on.
Oh, please tell me. Please. I've never heard anyone have a beef with the Epic Store. Please expand.
Yeah, they gave away better games in the early days, and now the games are kind of, middle of the roadie. You know, I've gotten like
Fortnite's too big. They don't need to give shit away anymore. You want to play Fortnite? They know where their bread is buttered. They got a monopoly on the game that has everything in it.
I mean, they are doing that well. You know, they got the
dude. Have you seen? I was about to say, have you seen these Dragon Ball Z freaking skins? I don't like Fortnite. All right, and this is not me being like a hipster hater. I hate the shooting. I love battle royales. Fortnite has the worst shooting. It has dog shit shooting. I can't stand it.
Third person though, is that what's your beef?
No, it just controls like shit. It just has the worst. Like I don't like it. And third person is not great, but I play third person shooters. It's actually been a while since I played one, but I like the Tom Clancy, the Ghost Recon games. That's the third person shooter. I love those games.
You mean like Splinter Cell?
You would never play them. But yeah, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon specifically was a Wildlands like way back in the day, and then they did a sequel that wasn't as good, but it was a really good open world tactical shooter. So I'm not strictly anti third person. I've also played PUBG in third person. The shooting is still decent, but you can snap to first person with a single click of a button. So I digress. Never got into Fortnite because of the shooting. I didn't really like it. Kind of turned me off. This crossover event with Dragon Ball Z, man, it is pulling at me. It's just like, hey, I know you're grumpy about this game that everybody loves, but hey, look, we got your favorite shit ever. It's right here and it looks real good. You don't like the shooting? You can do a Kamehameha.
You have to like get an orb or something. You have to like unlock it. It's like Thanos where you had to get the glove.
I'm aware, but that would then be an additional carrot at the end of a stick. Because if I didn't get the orb in one game, then I'd be like, well, I got to do another game so I can get the orb. I can do the thing from the show that I like.
Do you still buy them with cash? Is Fortnite a cash shop? Does it say dollars, or do you have to buy special Fortnite bucks?
Is that what V-Bucks are? Is that Fortnite?
V-Bucks? I don't know.
I think V-Bucks is Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's V-Bucks.
Okay, so they've been non-cashy for a long time.
They've been non-cashy for a long time, is my understanding. Yeah.
I wonder if they're ever going to phase things out. Like, if they're ever like, Obi-Wan is going to be like, hey, we want it back, give up the Mandalorian, you're done, contract's over.
That's an interesting thing. I mean, you would have to get a look at the contract, right? But if the contract was set up for just infinite use of the specific character you're licensing, then I mean, it is what it is. You're contractually locked in. But I don't know how their license is. I've never heard news of a character being torn out of Fortnite.
Smite has Danny Phantom right now.
I have never seen a single episode, so that means basically nothing to me other than I know who the character is.
Well, they had an entire Avatar: Last Airbender event too. Like Smite and
That
Nickelodeon are buddies.
That I was aware of, and it was the first thing to make me consider playing Smite for the first time since I played actually quite a bit of Smite when it first came out.
Disney was always Burger King growing up. That's where they had the cups.
Wow, we're going places.
Just,
You're not, but I think that that makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, that's basically what Fortnite has become, right? It's that tie-in. It's like the video game Happy Meal toy.
It's just so big.
All ages.
They're literally playing it. They're playing an Endgame, or was it Endgame? Was there one after Endgame? Which one was the end?
You're talking about the MCU?
Yeah.
Yeah, Endgame was the end of the Thanos
The
stuff.
whole thing. What came before Endgame?
In Infinity War.
Really?
Infinity War was the Thanos movie, and then Endgame was the direct sequel to that, where they wrap all up. Okay. It was the end, and yeah.
That seems
You
backwards.
don't remember that?
Because the Infinity War actually happened with everyone showing up when it was like infinite people showing up and fighting all the.
Anyway, yes. Yes, Kyle. Yes.
My mere connection is that Fortnite is now McDonald's or Burger King. I'm not sure which.
I'm not done. I'm gonna keep. I'm not
ending
where you ended, and gonna say that the word "end" is literally in the conjunction "endgame." So, while yes, I'm with you that technically Infinity War makes a little more sense for the last part, calling the first part of 2 Endgame sure seems dumber in my head.
And then you got Multiverse. Got your they got the Warner Brothers, so they have Gremlins in there now. They're putting Gremlins in there.
I went and looked up. It's Stripe, right? Is it just Stripe, or they put more?
No, just Stripe. Just Stripe.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of these days I'm gonna install that thing.
I hear from the kids it's good. It's popular.
Yeah, Gremlins is my better half's favorite movie. Never got her in the Smash Brothers though. I don't think she'd be into this, just because I don't think just throwing Stripe in the game would sell her.
I played it a little more since I talked about it. The hitboxes are just a little too wonky. They might be able to clean that up, but I've heard multiple people use the phrase I use now on that episode, floaty. And so
okay,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
No one seemed to disagree with you. The only thing I saw you catch a little flack on the tweeter for saying the audio was a little weird. People disagreed with you on that.
I stand by it. But
hey, man, then again, it's your opinion.
It's not recognizable. Is probably my big problem.
Have it.
Like you start up the like I'm in. It doesn't matter like what quality it is.
I'm not going to drag. I don't even want to drag this out because I just put up a Final Fantasy 14 clip where people were really getting on you from an affiliate business. So I'll go easy on you today.
Thank you. Let's not go easy on Gamescom though. I'm excited for this.
No, let's not. So let's get into it. Let's get to this week's gaming news.
Good. Oh, great news, everyone. Shove it.
Kyle, there were so many announcements and there was so much stuff going down at Gamescom. So many announcements, so many trailers, so much news that one might struggle where to start. One may have a difficult time trying to figure out what they thought was the biggest news to come out of it. But Kyle, I am here to tell you that I cannot wait to talk about the biggest bombshell of gaming news to ever grace our ear and eye holes, which is that Hideo Kojima has a podcast now.
What? Okay, there was weirder stuff in here. Like, I'm just talking about, like, video game trailers.
No, there wasn't. I disagree.
There was that one that had, like, no frame of reference with dudes wearing masks on miniguns. And then there was a message from space?
Dudes in masks wearing miniguns?
Yeah. Like, there were some games in here that
What game was that?
Damned if I know, man. I think it was not Crossfire. But Marauders. I think it was Marauders.
Is there actually something in here called Crossfire?
Yeah, there's a game in here called Crossfire.
Is it like the board game, the Crossfire?
No. It's a shooting, run around, shooting each other thingy.
I would have been so much more excited if there was like a double A video game production of the Crossfire board game. I'd be more interested in that.
Like theme it up, like make it dark, like there's big guns in the background. You gotta watch out for the disc.
The year is 2087. Society has collapsed, and to afford food, you must compete in the deadly game Crossfire.
And all the balls are rolling around. I would watch that, actually. I kind of like, what's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's trapped in
Running
the game
Man.
show? Yeah, Running Man. I like Running Man.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger does Hunger Games. That's what it is, even though it predates Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right in my book. No,
And Battle Royale.
there are fabulously awkward moments throughout this whole thing, such as...
The heart of gaming is beating once again.
just the asides, the award shows, games.
You want to announce a Pokemon car?
The Pokemon
It's not
car?
even, and it's a concept. Which I don't listen. I'm a car nerd. I don't think you are. I don't know if you're aware of this, Kyle. There's been a lot of electric vehicle concepts that have come out recently, and like 2-3 weeks ago, Hyundai came out with one that's truly gobsmackingly beautiful.
Gobsmacking.
And like it's one of the most gorgeous cars I've ever seen. It's a wonderful concept. And then I'm watching a game announcement show, and I'm looking at the most hideous car I've looked at since the Nissan Cube that has a Pokemon tie-in, and for some reason it took like 3 whole minutes out of my trailer watching enjoyment.
To be fair, they changed shirts, so this wasn't live. This was pre-recorded.
So say you, dude. I've been to a lot of concerts. I've seen plenty of very quick wardrobe changes.
No, I mean, let's see here. No, there's no way Jeff Keighley changed from a blue shirt and a jacket to a black long sleeve shirt in time. I disagree. Okay, why does the car say Ace Man in the front? So it's a Mini Cooper, but it says Ace Man and has like digital LED screens inside that show Pokemon characters.
It's a Paceman. I think the P might be missing. I don't have the actual car up in front of me, but I know a Mini Cooper Paceman is a trim level.
Why would the P be missing?
Maybe
yeah,
maybe
it totally
they are trying
says
to call it an
Concept Ace Man.
Oh, I
Right
guess
on
I
the
guess
front.
that might just be what they're calling it then. Let's see. I'm just gonna Google this now. I never caught the name because I was too busy thinking it was the dumbest thing I've sat through in a while in a game presentation.
I actually learned this week thanks to our Discord.
Oh, it
that
is
it's
Concept Ace Man.
It's
God,
each
this thing is
Pokemon
hideous.
to understand the power that's inside. I always thought it was each, which didn't make a lot of sense.
I thought so too.
I know,
It's
right?
Teach?
Yeah, there's a T
Oh my
in there.
God.
Maybe it gets lost
I'm
in the
learning
music.
things.
So this seems unsafe. Honestly, that was my first reaction. If my whole car is scrolling like a stadium, showing off, Pokemon the entire time, that just doesn't seem like a good idea.
I'm assuming it's like most EVs that have parlor tricks that a lot of them you can't enable while you're actually driving.
EV? Oh, electronic vehicles?
Electronic vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Also-
I forget how not in the car loop you are at times.
Also a horrible hazard because they put those big advertisement screens wherever the power stations are.
They do that. We've talked about this before, dude. They do this at gas stations.
I
This
know.
happens at gas pumps.
Oh, but the screens are bigger, like, because they're all like Tesla and big. Teslas are big out here in Oregon, so I probably see a lot of these power stations around.
Man, that's like podcasts that advertise a Patreon. Who does that? SupportOurBromance.com, by the way, everybody.
Right? Weirdos that. Honestly, my biggest laugh was at the modernization of this presentation, that straight up video games in the VODs lacked music and sound effects because it was censored for YouTube. Like when you're watching the actual presentation on YouTube, the Dead Island 2 trailer, which I really liked actually, doesn't have the music in the background because it would get censored when Gamescom posted on their YouTube. So they gave them a special version of the trailer with no sound in it so they wouldn't get flagged. That's the dark future, man.
That is, but dude, this just takes me back. You remember when they did BlizzCon Online? You remember many years ago before Blizzard somehow reached new heights of scandal and Jalen Brack hadn't lost his job yet?
The time period is a little fuzzy. That's a pretty big time period.
But
There.
they had
What are you talking about?
But they had the live music and they had Metallica play, and on Twitch the music was going off, but on YouTube they were just playing a bad backing track.
Yeah, man. That's a great moment too, because Metallica shooting themselves in the foot because they were leading that charge. That's just funny. I just like that.
Just keyboard cat starts playing. Do, 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 do. Yeah. Oh my god. That was so good. Yeah. Look it up, Chad. If you don't believe us, that is something that actually happened.
But Jeff Keighley, internet darling, was out there talking about video games, presenting a bunch.
Listen, Keighley gets, I feel like, an unfair amount of shit.
Does he?
I respect the man's hustle.
Yeah. What's the shit? But I'm not on the tweeter.
He's always in the forefront of these types of events, and there's always really corny stuff like Pokemon card tie-ins, and
he navigates it well. I do read into it though. Like I love that.
Damn professional.
I absolutely adored that when he got to Genshin Impact, he was like, on his note cards, just like completely checked out, trying to talk about one of the biggest games in the world. And he's just like, I have no idea what's going on.
That's how I feel about Genshin Impact.
They play that trailer, and I guess they're showing off like a genie character and, people in thigh highs. And he's just like, how about that, gamers? Like, let's. Anyway, moving on.
Genshin Impact, that's the gacha game? The gacha mobile game?
Okay, yeah. Biggest games in the world right now.
Absolutely huge, massive, ridiculous. Never played it. I know nothing about it other than that it's anime as hell.
From what I've heard, it's very influenced by Legend of Zelda
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, with the climbing indicators and such.
Yeah. That's about all I know about it. But yeah, that and the Kojima podcast, man, I was like dying. I'm like, this is the cringiest thing I've seen since, I don't know, some random thing in E3 that I'm sure I thought was really cringy.
They led with an extremely bizarre product too. This was the Everywhere, to which the interview had this gem in it.
All right, well, definitely a bold vision for what you're doing here.
Which really sums up, like they walked out and they're like, we are making a game that's alive.
There's a quote here that I pulled from Polygon, their rundown of everything. They said, Everywhere is the next game from a couple GTA alums. So all we know about it on a concrete factor is that it's an open world game, which surprised GTA people are making this.
Which is fair. They're good at that. That thing has some wild stuff. Like people jump in there and pretend to be bus drivers and then cart people around.
Yes.
There are GTA role players.
Yes. I don't know if these particular developers were involved with 5 or not. I don't know. But anyway, it'll be an open world game.
Leslie Benzies is the GTA 5 director on this.
Oh, okay. All right. So they do. Nonetheless, that's about all we know about what kind of game it is, because besides that, the quote is, Everywhere apparently, quote, seamlessly blends gameplay, adventure, creativity, and discovery in an all-new multi-world gaming experience that redefines how players connect with one another and the digital world around them. Are you ready to redefine things, Kyle?
It shows like third-person shooting, a lot of car driving. But other than that, it's kind of striking me as one of those, like, PlayStation made one of these recently. It was like, it was a musical, magical world where you could connect kind of a Roblox kind of thing. And every console generation, there's one of these. Design your own levels. I mean, they're not quite the Mario Makers or Little Big Story. Is that what it was called back in the day?
Little Big Planet.
Little Big Planet, yeah. So they're going for the player-generated world business, which there is a lot of money in Roblox. Like that thing makes some pretty good bank.
Oh God, yes, big time. But yeah, I don't know. This is like the most useless game announcement for me. It's like, here's a trailer that shows you nothing about like essentially nothing. It's like I actually want to see the show, the Rings of Power, but we've had like 3 trailers now, and they do teasers for the trailers, and I still don't know what adventure are we going on this show. I can't tell after 3 trailers.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel after the Everywhere trailer. I'm just like, I don't know. It's a game. That's about all I understand about this thing.
I feel like in the age of the internet, because we have so much and we have content creators to cover bases, we're starting to lose that everyman character a bit when new properties come out, or old properties, right? Like, who's my main character? How do I get invested in this world? What's my in? Who's the person who says, now what's that? And then someone else describes to them what that thing is.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you also have games where you just make your own damn character, right? So there's varying degrees of getting bought into the character and varying degrees of how defined your character is, even if you make them yourself. Because you have something like Mass Effect where you have a lot of control over what your character looks like, but it's still a predefined kind of character that you can shape as you play through the game. So I don't always need that, depending on the game and what the game is. But again, if you ask me what's everywhere? What's that new game from previous GTA devs? I'll be like, I have no freaking idea. I don't know what this game's going to be about. Doesn't matter. Whereas you can then have something like Dune Awakening, where you also show me jack shit, but I know exactly what to expect because of the studio that's making the game,
right?
And they actually tell me what type of game they're making. They're like, hey, it's going to be a survival MMO, like an open world survival MMO set in the Dune universe, and it's made by the people that made the damn Conan survival game. So it's like, cool. I have a really strong idea of what this game is going to be, even though the only damn thing they showed me was a cinematic trailer.
Yeah, they made a couple of interesting games over the years. They've done a lot of DLCs. They did that The Longest Journey game as well. A couple of horror games in the past. The Park, but Conan was their big thing.
Well, they had a penis slider that made every headline, every joke you could make about a quote unquote endowment slider was made.
Okay. I mean, I guess you're wearing loincloths enough that would matter.
Well, I believe you start nude in the Conan game.
Oh, just butt naked running around?
Yeah, like Rust. It's like Rust.
Is there a censor bar? Like you?
I don't think so.
Oh.
You're just nude. Haven't you played Rust, man?
No, I've never played Rust.
Yeah.
I've always wanted.
I'm not misremembering, right? I haven't looked at Conan Exile since it originally came out, but
I mean, I've always wanted to. I love the idea of the forest because that has an end goal. That's what I liked about Valheim is I could go in there and beat something and be done. And Lost Ark is one of the most impressive games I look at from the outside. I don't really want to play it. I think it's kind of ugly. But at the same time, I'm just wowed by their constant content and how much players have to do in that. And I'm a little curious about Vin Diesel for like Lost Ark 2.
Well, at this point, it's yeah, it's kind of mean, but it's the only way he's going to have abs again. So, you know.
I don't know. You would know better than me with your Fast and the Furious love.
I've seen every movie multiple times. I love the Fast and Furious.
He's got the Groot job, though. He's got that Groot thing down. He's got the new Disney Plus thing coming out where he Groots a bit.
He does, but apparently also is such a pain in the ass to work with that the director left. The director quit the new Fast and the Furious. And according to what I've read, it's because he can't stand Vin Diesel's unprofessionalism anymore.
Oh, weird.
Which bums me out because I really like Vin Diesel. Like I have every reason in this world to like Vin Diesel, but it seems like he's kind of taking the fun out of one of the most ridiculous film franchises ever.
Oh, I always liked him in the interviews when they'd ask him about his D&D character and he'd get all giggly.
No, dude's like a legit nerd. Like he loves games and he's a big D&D dork. I love the fun fact that his fake tattoos and XXX, I think the one above his belly button is his main D&D character.
Nice.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly.
Riddick, anyway. I think, is basically his D&D character. I believe
that would not surprise me.
Yeah,
that would not surprise me.
Playing himself, but in another world.
I love those movies, man.
I am curious about. I would love to play The Forest. I've watched actually one of the few games that I've watched like a full Let's Play of is The Forest, because I think that looks like a damn good game, but I didn't have the co-op capabilities at the time.
That's about it that I saw that I wanted to poke fun at. I'm actually excited about Dune Awakening. The new, there were a lot of stuff that weren't new announcements, right? That we just got new trailers for. So we got to see more of games that were already announced. And the one that really woke me up from my stupor after the MiniCooper was the Darktide trailer. Because I keep forgetting this game is coming out. And when they started showing, I'm like, shit, this looks good. This looks like a Warhammer shooter. And they're like, in Darktide. I'm like, oh, right, it is a Warhammer shooter. And it's coming out soon-ish. Did it get delayed?
Yeah, it got stealth delayed. I believe there was, granted, I'm not following Darktide, hardcore. I know there are Vermintide hardcores. There's co-op gamer hardcores that, play Dwarf Rocks and whatnot all the time. To me, I just went to my Steam. I said, hey, I wishlisted you. Where are you? Oh, you got pushed out a few months. Weird. Fat Shark has some. Is this still Fat Shark?
I just lost you for a whole minute.
Oh, well,
I was
back.
and stream saying F. Yeah, I heard nothing you said.
Oh, we went out again? I didn't get a notification this time.
Yeah, chat. I guess we're back. I guess when I started hearing you again, the stream came back.
Huh.
It's weird because Zoom isn't going out.
Yeah.
I don't. You just go mute in Discord, but I see your video, which makes me think that you're just muted. But then I started seeing stream Fs. I've paused the podcast recording, by the way. So,
I wonder if that's if we're having Discord issues, if that's the heart of this problem. It's not construction at all. It's Discord farting off.
Well, if stream went down, the Discord has nothing to do with stream.
But I got no alert this time. And to me, you were still in motion because Zoom was active.
Yeah, did you notice that I was waving and telling you I couldn't?
No, because I was adjusting the next scene for the live crowd.
I'm over here.
A full product. Now, it looks great on the Steam page. It still could be a great game. It's just that this has a ravenous fan base who is going to critique Fat Shark for everything they do wrong.
Oh, so this is one of those games that I just play and enjoy, never look on the internet about ever, so I have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Like this will be a great game. You are going to play it and have fun, and it's going to, it has a nice custom class kind of business on it, which I really like. You kind of build your own class. The classes in Vermintide were really fun, but I'm excited to design my own. This has a little bit of the StarCraft, Warcraft 3 problem for me. As we've moved into sci-fi, we're losing all the color. Whereas custom maps in Warcraft 3 will always be, to me, even though the graphics are lower, way more interesting because there's so many more options for visual clarity and expressing yourself in a custom map there. StarCraft will always be kind of bland and techy. So I'm curious to see how they pull this off. If it's gonna end up samey in the experience because we're always going through the tubes and metal environments.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. It looks like something I would really enjoy playing. The shooting looks really satisfying, and they also showed off a good deal of melee, which when they kind of opened with shooting, I was like, oh, are they getting away from the melee? No, there's still plenty of melee stuff in this game.
And melee is very important because that's how you can have limited ammo, and that adds to the horror aspect of it. Otherwise, you're just gunning all the time. And that's very Left 4 Dead of it, right? Like you got to have that balance. I think
that's part of why it's like so muted in its color palette, because that's like when Warhammer gets creepy, it gets pretty muted. Yeah. If you're looking at official color palettes and stuff like that.
I'm really excited for this thing. I'm looking forward to getting my gang together and playing this one, and I hope that they can launch it functional. Like I said, there's a lot of people that give Fat Shark a lot of lip, and it might not be that bad, or this is a classic like delay because of marketing pushing it, and this is the best delay they can get, and actually going to launch terrible.
Yeah,
could be a thing.
And then the other one that we knew it's been coming out, and I guess it's coming out sooner than expected. But I completely forgot about its existence, is Gotham Knights, which lately I have been thinking to myself, damn it, I miss the Arkham games. I don't know why we stopped making Batman games, but we're going to get one and just not be able to play Batman. Maybe we're probably going to bring Batman back at the end of this as some big surprise, but would
this be old man Batman at this point? Are we doing, it's not quite Batman Beyond era.
Well, so the whole plot of the setup for this game is that Batman died, and so all of his proteges are stepping up to quell the unrest in Gotham City in the wake of Batman's death.
I was already just kind of like, I've played this game before. And then Harley Quinn turns around, and I'm just like, Harley Quinn. She's so overused. She's so canned. This is the last you do that. I'm just getting going. Like, it's the same thing as the Joker without any of the fun. And yet Harley Quinn constantly has these like, I'm going to be a good guy now. Just kidding, bats. Like, And then they put, like, just to tease me, they put Clayface looking pretty heavy in this thing. I love Clayface. Like, he's got some lines about production's on, and he's doing kind of the movie star thing. And that makes me want to play it, but I can't do Harley Quinn. I'm so over whatever she's cooking.
I was just happy it wasn't the Joker because I was expecting it to be the damn Joker again.
It's just,
I don't have your burnout on actual Harley Quinn, but Harley Quinn burnout is to blame for why I stopped watching Arcane, because Powder is just Harley Quinn again, and I'm like, I've seen this character before.
I never watched I heard great things. I heard it's beautiful.
It's the most beautiful damn, like, semi 3D anime. It kind of does the Spider-Verse thing where it's 3D animated, but they do some hand animation on top of it to embellish it and really just, it's so pretty. It's so freaking pretty, but oh man, do I not care about the story.
Oh, Clayface looks so good in this. I've wanted a Clayface movie for so long. I love Clayface. He's so creepy.
You know, this is going to be a weird recommendation considering what you just said, but you should really check out the Harley Quinn cartoon.
I've
on
been
HBO.
told this. John has been telling me, get over
so
yourself.
Funny.
Go watch it. It's worth it.
Get over yourself, Kyle.
There she is with her big hammer. I like the second she's up, I get so nitpicky. Like, she whistles with her fingers with gloves in this trailer. I'm like, that's impossible. I hate everything.
Oh my god.
I go instant into just nitpick mode when Harley Quinn shows up. I can't do it.
Oh my god. Clayface is Clayface in the cartoon is straight up an overly dramatic, classically trained actor.
Yeah, that's what I love about him.
But in the cartoon, it's like hammed up to 11.
He's great.
And Bane talks in just a comedy making fun of Dark Knight Rises Bane voice for the whole show. So good.
I just love like alternative combat in cartoons. It doesn't really work in video games all the time, but like the fact that he was defeated by showing him headshots of himself and he freaked out so much that he, melted. Like that's great. That's just great.
You're talking about arguably the greatest piece of American animation ever, which is Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, they got away with a lot of weird stuff.
That Avatar and Gargoyles, those are constantly warring in my brain for what is the greatest American animation. And yeah. You know what? I don't have to choose. I don't have to choose. I live in a world where I can enjoy all of them. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Anyway, I don't care. I miss the Arkham games. I'm excited for Gotham Knights, and I don't have crippling Harley Quinn hang-ups like Kyle.
Someday maybe I'll get over them. I'm waiting. She always teams up. They always team up with Harley Quinn because she's got like some juice on the Joker or something like that, and then she's always like, "Just kidding, boys. I'm still in love. I love you, peaches," or whatever she calls them.
It depends on the storyline, because as we aged up, Kyle, and as the people that enjoyed Harley Quinn as a child actually started going to therapy, we all realized that she was in an abusive relationship. So it depends on who's penning the story.
True. Always goes
Which again
back.
is
Maybe
the reason.
I've lost respect. Always going back to the Joker. Anyway, can we talk about the game I'm excited about?
You should really check out the cartoon. Yeah, what are you excited for?
Callisto Project.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You love Dead Space.
I do love Dead Space.
I've watched a roommate play it. I've never actually played it myself. I just felt like I had the experience and I was good.
So this is being made by Glenn Schofield, who is the co-creator of Dead Space. And Dead Space 3 has one of the most tragic, combative storylines you can think of. Dead Space 3 was a co-op game, and actually a really good co-op game, but forced on it by EA. And they added in weapon crafting to a game where all your weapons were based on engineer schematics. Like you had plasma cutters and in general, everything you wielded in Dead Space 1 and 2. I mean, 2 was a little more military, but in Dead Space 1, everything is like an engineer's object. You have a buzzsaw, sure, but it's because an engineer has to cut through metal piping. In 3, they replaced entirely the crafting mechanic, all the weapons homogenized together, and that was so they could sell special EA currency online, so you could unlock weapons faster. This is right on the cusp, like right at the beginning of DLC monetization, all that sort of crazy stuff. They took the real ending of Dead Space 3 and put it behind an $8 paywall at the time. So you bought a full game where you're constantly reminded by a character moving in and out of the void, like randomly appearing next to you, that you're supposed to be playing this game co-op. You'll be walking through the ship. You'll walk up to a door and it's like, can't open unless you're playing co-op. The co-op scenes were amazing. Honestly, they were really cool. They were Portal level, like messing with each other. I played it with Kristen over a holiday. She would see monsters that didn't exist. I would see monsters that didn't exist. So one of us would just start firing when there's nothing there. And you have to tell each other what actually exists at some points. Or one of you would be having a flashback and like dealing with that flashback in the corner while you defend them. It was a really, really cool system. But it was entirely just tacked on. They had some really cute ideas. They tried to grow the character. And they just couldn't. You just kept pressuring them to make things clear, make things monetizable. It was gross. So hopefully now that creator, free of these constraints, can go make a better game and actually make the continuation of Dead Space 3, which was supposed to happen. It was getting a little earthy, you know, like everything does, like every Halo, all of them. You're fighting in space, and eventually the thing found Earth, and now we have to defend Earth. It always happens. That classic escalation.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. That sounds really cool. I didn't know that about a co-op in Dead Space, but that sounds rad.
It's worth playing. It absolutely removes the fear factor a lot, you know, because being alone and isolated is...
I don't get as afraid playing third-person games as I do first. Once Resident Evil went first person, it was rough for me.
I understand that.
Even though those games are gorgeous, the new Resident Evils are freaking masterful. But this looks interesting enough. To me, it looks a little basic.
That's the problem. I agree.
It's a dude in a jumpsuit on not the Nostromo throwing corpses into a meat grinder.
Sure. Well, they're showing off, in particular, they're showing off their worm tech here, which I think was kind of cute. They're basically showing off their new mechanic where if you don't take an enemy out in time, they'll upgrade. And they did a big like water slide scene, which is very reminiscent of, you know, any of the flying through space scenes you remember from Dead Space or God of War. It was a big thing, you know, the Tomb Raider, right? Like you got to ride down the slide, and if you mess up, you get a gruesome death. That's very important to the fan base. Like the fan base needs the game to have on the back of the box over 300 unique kill animations. Like in Dead Space, there was this great enemy that was a head with tentacles below it, and it would jump around your neck, strangle you, pop off your head, and then crawl inside your body and start wearing it and walk off.
Oh God.
Like, and that's what you're there to see. And that's what adds to the horror element, because you don't just go down, your hit points reach 0, and you sort of slump over like Shepard in Mass Effect 2 and get all weird. You actually go, wow, I don't want to ever see that again. That was one of the worst things I ever witnessed. I'm scared. Let's not have that happen again. So you build this rapport with the enemy where you don't want them touching you. You don't want them up on your business. And I love that. You got to have that communication. But the set dressing, very generic. I don't really know what the story is. They've been trying to tell me.
It's a space prison.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
You're trying to escape a space prison. I love space prisons. I'm a sucker for it. I might actually... You don't have to try very hard to sell me on a third-person action game. I tend to just kind of like them, even when they're not my favorite. It's kind of like pizza. It's like, well, is it there? Yeah, I guess I'll have some. That sounds wonderful. I'll pick off the pineapple. Let's go. But yeah, I just kind of looked at it. I'm like, man, this kind of just looks like clearly looks better, but it just kind of looks... It reminds me of an Xbox 360 game.
Well, you just countered yourself, in my opinion, and I will explain. Because the space prison is a place that is dangerous anyway. The reason why Dead Space 2 was more scary was because you're inside a daycare fighting infested babies that were exploding. And you went from a place that should be safe that is no longer safe. It's the whole fun of what the Dead Island trailer did too. Like, what would you do if you were...
I was going to go with Rapture from BioShock, because it was supposed to be a utopia.
Yeah.
And it just, went to shit.
Exactly. Like, when you're moving through in like a Left 4 Dead game or any zombie apocalypse, the most fun moments are when you're somewhere safe that isn't like a grocery store, and you're experiencing that feeling of, oh, wow, I would know what this is like. That's why I really like that Dead Island trailer, because dude, like, clearly, like, he holds his eye down. He's like, oh, I'm infected. Like, and you're like, okay, so he's got nothing left to live for except for having fun. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to drink all the time. You're going to make outrageous weaponry. You're going to fight everything you want. You're going to punch things in the face because you don't matter about blood spill on you. and you sort of embrace that character. But here with our Callisto project, I'm worried that we're already in a dangerous location and the bad guys are already dangerous people who have been transformed into more dangerous people. And you just sort of lose that edge. And plus, you don't have that engineer element that Dead Space had, where you were like, oh man, I need to go into the surgical room and start ripping out the cutting laser that was a part of the surgical equipment. I'm going to rig it into a gun. That was really fun and really satisfying. All the outrageous weaponry made sense. When you're just getting a pulse rifle, I'm a little bored. And I think they're trying to showcase how this game is going to be gruesome enough, but it's leaving it extremely generic. Just like you said with the Nostromo feel. Like, I don't feel like we're going to go anywhere interesting with this story. But they're nailing the gameplay. They're selling that really well.
Yeah. I would say there can still be fun to be had in inherently dangerous locations. I wouldn't draw a hard line, but yeah, there's just something about this that I'm like, I think I can wait to play this is kind of the feeling I'm getting on it. This isn't a day one for me.
Yeah, I want it to be. That's my problem. I want it to be. And granted, like, I don't know what's going on in YouTube comments for these videos. They're freaking weird, man. It's kind of robot-y in the majority of these trailers. Like, particularly the Dune one, people being like, I'm so stoked, I don't even need gameplay. And you're like, who the hell wrote that? What? You've not been through the last 10 years of video gaming? You don't need to see gameplay?
Maybe they agree with me. Maybe they're like, well, they actually told me what the game is, and the studio has made games like this before, so I inherently trust them. Maybe, I can give them a benefit of the doubt on that. Maybe you just really like Dune, Kyle, which after the Dune movie, I just kind of really like Dune.
Maybe. And Callisto Project is leading with what you should be showing your hardcore crowd. They want to see that your game is functional and has these certain elements like brutal deaths to them. Whereas something like Lords of the Fallen, perhaps, doesn't showcase what Dark Souls fans are interested in, which is hitboxes. It goes on this long, like, rather beautiful. It was a great trailer, but
it's mostly a cinematic. Yeah.
There's like a lantern, and they make it clear that if you die, you're gonna get back up, and there's gonna be. In fact, there's already a Lord of the Fallen or Lords of the Fallen. This is the Lords of the Fallen. So
all they did was add I believe.
Yeah, so they're making like a soft reboot or something. Like, it's a cool world. It's missing everything but the big tree, and that would be the most generic dark fantasy world ever. But there's probably a big tree in here somewhere. But it's gotta be rough trying to come out with the Souls-like after Elden Ring. Oh, just in general,
like they just came out and destroyed. Like, it's also in a year with the game release year we've had, which is to say barely any, for Elden Ring to be one of those games. Like, I wouldn't want to follow that. That's a tough act to follow.
It's true. And I went and watched some of the old gameplay from their previous game, and it was okay. It was lock-on targeting. This wasn't extremely inspired.
Elden Ring's that's the new Skyrim, right? We're gonna just wade through Elden Ring re-releases for the rest of our natural-born lives.
There was a tie-in to Elden Ring that was indirect that I thought was really interesting, and that was Moonbreaker.
I think I missed that. What's Moonbreaker?
So
tell me about this.
Moonbreaker is much like Elden Ring, written by an author. This is Brandon Sanderson. They're known for like Mistborn, and I believe they finished the Wheel of Time series as well. So very popular author. Like this, so much like your R. Martin, right? They got an outside writer to come in and do some content for them and build their world. And what they're building is like a Guardians of the Galaxy world for a miniatures game. So you can kind of think of it like XCOM.
I'm watching this now. Yeah, I missed for Moonbreaker. I'm like, this is a board game, Kyle. How is this like Elden Ring? But you were talking about You were talking about the author tie-in was
Yes.
how it's similar. Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, so he's creating kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy style world that is a little Joss Whedon-y in that way. Like everyone has a little quip as they end their statement. Everybody's a little, having too much fun murdering each other in that kind of way. But it's intensely miniature based to the point where you actually paint your army. I mean, it's kind of like, it's like drag and drop painting. I don't know if you actually can like write stuff on there. If there's multiplayer, probably not. So that no one can write bad words on the backs of their characters and whatnot. But you can custom paint all these characters, and then they have some unique animations when they attack each other. You create an army, and then like XCOM, you go around and do missions. And it looks kind of fun if they can nail the feedback of it. Is probably the hardest thing to do. Because miniatures moving like miniatures and clunking about like a tabletop isn't as evocative as something like, XCOM, where they're throwing grenades, shooting through walls. The destructibility of the environments in XCOM is what really, really sold me and made me enjoy XCOM. Blowing open a wall and then sending people in the back while flanking in the front. The cover base got a little old, but that's just cover based. It's played its course.
Yeah. Dude, I still love XCOM. Every once in a while, I still crack that open again. Get back to it.
It's a good game. And
yeah,
I was excited to see this one.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff here, man. I'm not gonna go through all of it, but I've said my piece. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about like things like Atlas Fallen being intensely generic, but I've mentioned the ones that I'm excited for, which is honestly quite a bit. Like to walk out of this and see even 3 games I'm excited for, that's awesome. And there's 1 or 2 that I'm curious about. High on Life looked awful.
I didn't look it up. I love Rick and Morty. I don't love it that much.
No.
I don't need some weird tie-in shooter. That, although I will say, it reminds me of that. You remember like the heyday of early South Park when we had like a South Park 64?
Sure.
And these tie-in games that were actually pretty well made, but really the only selling point was it's exactly like that game you like already on the Nintendo, but it's crude. Like, I'm good. I thought that was funny when I was 12.
I'm a little older now.
I'm all right. I'm still going to watch Rick and Morty. Don't get me wrong, but I don't need this game. I don't need it. I'm all right. Well, Kyle, I heard you want to celebrate the fact that I no longer need to talk about Hearthstone by asking me about some serious bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, man. Digesting this from the outside, I haven't played since they added, was it Bloodstones with all the quill boars?
Oh, and Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of this, the big thing in this, affects all of Hearthstone, not just Battlegrounds.
Okay. Is that the XP system, or is this the Gemblies we're getting into now?
The thing that a lot of people are really, well, actually, no, there are 2 things that people are really mad about. One is Battleground specific. The other is this new fake currency that a game that has had just real money purchases in the shop for the full dollar amount shown since 2013. They haven't changed this since beta, Kyle. They are now adopting like a V-Bucks system.
I could see how that would be upsetting.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, have you ever played this game called Heroes of the Storm? You remember when they did Heroes 2.0 and it was this major update and overhaul to the overall game system, like in the interface out when you're outside of an actual game of Heroes of the Storm, and they introduced 2 separate currencies, along with loot boxes and stuff, all that stuff for Heroes of the Storm.
They went ham. They did it all.
Did you buy more things after they stopped letting you buy things with just regular ass money, or did you buy fewer things after they stopped just letting you buy stuff with regular ass money?
That is such a weird example to get into, the Heroes of the Storm.
Is it? Because I think it's a really apt one.
But the problem was, like, everyone was intensely generic. Everyone was on generic ponies with generic skins. And then the second 2.0 launched, they were giving away so much free stuff that everybody was dressed up and the game was more vibrant. So I really liked it for that reason. However, on the monetary side of things, I could just grind out the Doritos, a little third currency, to get the things that I would have spent real money on, rather than saying, you know what, I'm going to throw down $10 for infested tychus here. So yeah, they lost money intensely because of their decision. It was a bad decision in terms of finance. It was great, I think, for the players in that case.
Yeah, I used to drop money in Heroes of the Storm constantly because I liked the game enough and I wanted to support it, and it was free to play, and I was happy to spend real money on heroes and skins. But as soon as they made it what shards, I forget the two currencies in Heroes of the Storm. Shards and gems and gold. Gems was the one you bought. Shards was the free currency that you got from duplicates and completing some quests, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, they're introducing runes in Hearthstone, and a lot of people are mad. I'm not really playing much Hearthstone anymore, except for Battlegrounds, but I did. I couldn't help myself. I had to tweet about how I thought this was dumb as hell.
I don't mind the gem system. I've read some accounts where people are saying legally, if you sell a loot box, and now loot box legislation is coming after card packs, if you put an initial purchase before that, it gets rid of the gambling aspect, because what you paid for with real money wasn't a gamble. You got exactly 900 space bucks. And then when you spend those space bucks, which are now in the system to gamble, no problem. Loophole achieved, and nothing's wrong. So this could be them pre-countering card pack coming after, which Magic the Gathering does gems already too, like they did since their arena inception. For me, from the outside, the real disappointing about this is the Battlegrounds Season 2, where they say they're taking down the options to get multiple heroes in your queue. And their solution, or their message to the players, is how much better it's going to be for you. And plus, having only 2 selections for your Battlegrounds, that's not bad because we balance so intensely. No.
Oh, that is bullshit.
There's everything from the outside that you digest about that game talks about how horribly imbalanced those heroes are.
I think we're up to 90 heroes in Battlegrounds, and there are so many of them that are just straight trash in terms of their competitive viability. So no, that is horrendously inaccurate, and they do not balance Battlegrounds that quickly. The implication, which is the other thing that this starts to get into the other thing people are a little miffed about. The implication is that they're paywalling the season pass for Battlegrounds, which gives you access to like 2 more options for heroes when you start a game. If anyone listening has never played Hearthstone Battlegrounds, it's their auto battler, it's their version of auto chess, and the big kicker that really distinguishes it from other auto battlers is at the beginning you choose from one of 4 potential heroes from a pool of 90 heroes, and they each have little baked in perks, so it really changes one game to the next. I love it. I really do like the game. I like auto battlers, and Battlegrounds is my favorite one. And it's really the only Hearthstone I'm playing right now. But it used to be that you could buy that season pass with gold, which is a currency you can just gain by doing quests in game, and so you can for free get the season pass, which unlocks, it essentially doubles the number of heroes you have to choose from at the beginning of a game of Battlegrounds. But now they're putting that behind a paywall. They're saying, no, you can't buy this with gold anymore. You can only buy it with runes, and runes is a real money currency. So that's the second thing people are mad about. Some of the players are mad because of runes, and some of the players are mad because they're paywalling the Battleground Season Pass with runes, with this new rune system. So this is like a 2-staged outrage going on. In Hearthstone's defense, Kyle, if you're in the US, the exchange rate is basically 1-to-1. Like $5 gets you 500, $10 gets you 1,000, $15 gets you 1,500. Although I think you can go up to an 8,000 rune bundle, which is $80. So, devil's advocate here, at least for me in the US, it's easy for me to understand how much it's worth.
There's no way they're giving you, you buy 800 and everything costs 600. Like, there's no way.
So, that's what tweets I'm seeing out of the Hearthstone team are saying, is that they said that they tried really hard to make sure that you're not going to have leftover rune problems. But I like a lot of the people on the Hearthstone team. I consider some of them my friends. Nobody trusts your studio anymore. I'm sorry.
We're not calling the developers.
Like, Blizzard has burned all of its goodwill, and when you change to a virtual currency system, you are just inviting a lack of trust, and now it's happening at a studio where that trust has already evaporated.
We're not calling any of the creators liars. They are communicating what they know and have fought for 100%. They're gaming too.
Yeah.
They don't like this stuff. It's more that what can happen in the future is that erodes away, and those protections, particularly that certain individuals in positions of power, give the game. And when they head out, what happens? What happens when development starts to cost more, so things go up in cost, but the rune system doesn't get updated to match that? That's when this starts to fall apart. And of course, it's posed as like this, it's going to be this great thing for the player base. It's so tough because from the outside, what we hear all the time is this is the money-making game for Blizzard. Like, Hearthstone is the cash cow.
From the outside, what is there left? Nothing there is making money except for Diablo Immortal, apparently, because there's, single individuals dropping 100K, apparently. But Overwatch ain't doing jack. World of Warcraft is at the lowest point it's ever been in the entire history of the game. What do they have left? That is seeing regular updates and regularly ask for you to kind of buy back in, and it's their digital card game. I think for a lot of good reasons. I don't think this is all bad. I think Hearthstone is still a good game. Like I said when I left the Angry Chicken that I'm leaving just because I'm personally kind of done with the game, but I think it's at a good place. And then this happens. But
I will give them credit for making a damn good auto
man.
battler. Like, they have weathered the storm. Dota Underlords, I think it was called. That's just like abandoned.
Yeah,
a lot of those auto battlers that came out right around, what was that? Was that the end of 2019 was kind of the explosion of those. Those have all gone down.
20. Yeah, actually, I think it's almost it kicked off in 2018. I think, didn't it?
Yeah,
maybe beginning of 2019. Because I started with auto chess, then I played a little bit of Underlords, and right when I was like trying to get good at Underlords, Battlegrounds for Hearthstone got announced at the BlizzCon I was out at, and I was just like, oh, cool. I already like Blizzard. I already like Hearthstone. They made an auto battler. Let me go play this demo of BlizzCon, see if it's any good. And I freaking loved it. And I've been playing it ever since. I don't like hit the freaking leaderboards or anything, but I do well enough. I really like this game. So anyway, I hate virtual currencies. I think this is the most egregious virtual currency ever? No. Do I think everyone and their mother at Blizzard should have saw this backlash coming because of how much social patience stock the company currently has? Yes, you should have saw this backlash coming. This sucks. This doesn't help anybody. What did you expect?
The top comment on their forum is, "Thank you for making BG so popular. We're now monetizing it even further." To be fair,
that's how it feels. Yeah,
but this is something they've been sort of afraid of. I remember way back in the day when Heroes was still kind of fresh. They started doing their arenas, their version of the sort of custom maps that they were putting out, what became ARAM. And there was a fear that was communicated to me from the team that they were going to make a better game inside their game. And they were worried about that with esports being on. That was a possibility. And Hearthstone's done that, at least from the outside. And certainly for me, Battlegrounds is a far superior product than the actual card game.
I bet if we looked at the numbers, it's probably more like a lot closer than you think. But I'm with you. I would rather play Battlegrounds than regular ass Hearthstone, like standard Hearthstone. But then they also tried multiple other modes after this. The first was Duels, which was upon launch really grossly monetized.
Was that the
its detriment?
Shadow Raid Legends thing?
No. That was Mercenaries.
Oh, I see.
Duels was their first post Mercenaries attempt, and they went a lot harder on the kind of the quote unquote paywall, because it was a roguelike that you still went in with a pre-constructed deck, but then you got like broken cards from this roguelike system, but you could get access to better, more powerful broken cards based on your card collection. So if you had more cards, you had access to more options than there. They eventually did away with that, but upon launch, that's how it launched, and it just felt kind of gross. And it felt to me, this is me editorializing, it felt to me like a reaction of, oh shit, we released we released Battlegrounds, and it's a runaway success, and we didn't monetize it enough. So we're never going to make that mistake again. Duels is going to have some hard paywalls. And then Mercenaries came out, and I think it was the most egregious example yet of Hearthstone, like really, really chunky paywall and new content.
Oh, man. That's a
So
real.
it's just been interesting.
Yeah.
Because of the conversation we're having, we're talking about some pretty serious examples. Like standard Hearthstone is the same it's kind of always been, and like if you're down for paying for cards, you know,
Sure.
it's that. I still think standard Hearthstone is one of the better deals in card battlers. And honestly, like, so the paywall for Battlegrounds comes down to $4 is it $4 a month? I think is what it averages out to. Essentially, you don't pay for a month because it's for a season, which is multiple months, but I think it averages out to about $4 a month for this pass for Battlegrounds, which, you know, admittedly is not a lot of money, but it is a paywall that did not previously exist, because you used to be able to get it for free if you did enough daily quests.
I'm just fascinated by it because I've been on the outside for a long time of Hearthstone. It's not where I've chosen to spend my free time since Arena kind of lost its edge as they added more and more packs. They weren't able to maintain that mode's competitive integrity as they added more cards to the game. It was great on release. And what a smooth experience Hearthstone was compared to Magic Online and all that sort of business. It's a fascinating experiment that Battlegrounds was made with so much love. Like, it was such an organic, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. Like, they're on the BlizzCon show floor, was like, do you want to see what we did? Like, we did this. We just kind of made it up. You want to try it? And everyone loved it. It
was the Hearthstone magic a second time, because when Hearthstone originally was revealed in 2013, we were all kind of like, what? The Blizzard's making a card game? That seems a little small scale for the World of Warcraft company. And it ended up being really freaking good. And then you heard the story that it started with a tiny team. I think the original team was 5 members or something insane, like when they started developing this game. And so it was a completely different, you know, direction for Blizzard to like, let's have a skeleton team just play around and find the fun. And Battlegrounds, I think it felt like lightning striking twice. But yeah, man, Blizzard just can't catch a break. It's just this reeks of corporate meddling. Did I lose you? Kyle? But you can hear me? What? All right. What was your response? What was your retort to the end of all of that shit?
Cursed mod. Fascinating. What an internet problem to have. Organic fun was created, and now we have to monetize it. I don't blame anybody who has to do that job.
All right. Well, before we move on, which is hilarious, since we're watching live, this whole thing is a shit show. But podcast listeners, you're completely unaware. So you think this is a really professionally put together production. You might be thinking to yourself, how do I support these horribly professional podcasters? How do I do it? I listen to the show every week and it's free. And to that we say, yes, it is free. However, if you would like to support it, if you like what Kyle and I do, if you ever ask yourself, how do these two dorks make a living? This is how we make a living. And the way we do it is through our Patreon, which you can take a look at by going to supportourbromance.com. Kyle, are you a fan of supportourbromance.com?
I am a huge fan of supportourbromance.com.
We got perks over there. You get a custom RSS feed where the podcast shows up for you, and we will cut out this ad. You won't hear it.
You don't even know this exists.
You don't even know. You still get the thank you at the end, though. Because, like, what if it's the week you signed up? I figure you want to hear your shout out, your name get shout out. But you also get access to our members and patron-only chat channels. Depending on what level you sign up for, you get additional perks. You might be able to, like, vote on some polls for what we do on stream nights. I just put up a suggestions post for our $5 level and aboves asking, hey, if Kyle and I did a non-Final Fantasy 14 stream every once in a while, what do you want us to play? And, getting suggestions in there. So go check it out. Supportourbromance.com. Thank everybody for the support. And thanks for listening, everybody. And here is also where I was going to take the mid-show break, Kyle. Do you just need a breather?
Dude, I don't need anything, man. I want to ride this. I just want to keep going.
All right. Well, in the meantime, then, I do just want to thank Xenos earlier for the super chat that just said, meow.
Nice.
That was it.
Thank you.
I just want to, thank them right there for that. And in that case, let's get to Trailer Park.
Yep. Yep.
Kyle, do you like The Last of Us?
Oh, sure. Of course I do.
Would you like to watch it instead of playing it?
That is a bizarre thing to say when it was a video game made to play like a movie that's a video game.
Well, too bad, because HBO already fronted the money and shot the Last of Us live-action adaptation, and apparently they're actually releasing it, unlike the Batgirl movie.
Oh, was that HBO that did that?
That was HBO,
Oh.
yeah. It was HBO Max, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, they have.
was-
I got HBO to watch Game of Thrones. They have extended edition Lord of the Rings on there. I'm excited.
They do, for now. You'll see. They're also, I guess they removed a bunch of Sesame Street randomly without warning, but not all of it. It's still kind of on there. Anyways, HBO Max is a kind of a dumpster fire right now.
Huh.
Which is a shame, because it's my favorite streaming service.
So, Last of Us, the movie, the video game, the movie.
No, the Last of Us, the game, the live action series.
Is it accurate? Are they going to do all the beats?
I mean, there's a trailer. That's why we're talking about it. Have you seen this trailer?
I've seen him walk through the snow. This is Mandalorian, right? Walking around.
Yeah, Mr. Mando.
Mr. Mando.
Mr. Mando. Mr. Mando, whose name I'm completely blanking on right now, and as soon as I finish typing it into IMDb, Pedro Pascal, it just came to me.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to hit enter.
Oh, isn't this what's her big face? Baratheon? Not Baratheon, but she was in Game of Thrones.
Yes, she was the heir to. She was one of the Starks, wasn't she?
Oh, I mean, she was definitely in the north. I wasn't paying detailed attention, but I liked her in that.
So it's Bella Ramsey, and she was in Game of Thrones. She showed up in the later seasons. Actually, one of the better things about it. Oh, Lyanna Mormont.
Okay.
She was the child who was the last living heir of like all the Mormont stuff. So she ended up being the head of Bear Island. And as bad as the latter seasons of Game of Thrones are, her scenes are incredible.
No, she played it great. Like, she had some great line delivery. I think she's going to do great as Ellie, right? Ellie?
Yeah, she's Ellie, and Pedro Pascal has been cast as Joel. I honestly think pretty good casting.
Sure. I do not want a recreation of the video game with, like, matched characters, because then just play the video game. So Pedro Pascal bringing his own style to Joel is entirely welcome, because I'll actually get to see something new.
That's a good point.
There's a reason to watch it.
I hadn't really thought about that, but it's so interesting because people are like, it's the first trailer. It's barely 20 seconds of footage that's part of a supercut trailer that's like promoting all of the new things coming to HBO Max.
But it appears that they're doing a run through the store with a different girl, so I guess that's Joel's daughter. We got Angry Dude in the Home Depot. Is that Angry Dude in the Home Depot? It looks like Angry Dude in the Home Depot.
Angry Dude in the Home Depot.
Yeah.
We got a shot of Bill being played by
Bill.
Parks and Rec guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Angry Dude in the Home Depot.
Which is actually, I think, the most perfect casting.
He's going to be great. Well, what's his name, Bill?
Nick Offerman. I couldn't remember Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman is going to be playing the character of Bill. If anyone played Last of Us, you know that character.
Okay. I mean, it seems like even in the short trailer, they've got the snow part, they've got the daughter part. You know, they don't show the watch or anything like that, but they're hitting all the bases. And if they do, it doesn't have to be scene for scene by any means, but if they're telling that story with actors we like, sure, why not?
I'm a weird mix on this, man. Like, I love The Last of Us. I love both of them. I know some people don't love the second one, but I really like the second one. The first one's one of my favorite games of all time. My gut reaction is like, I don't need this. I've already seen this story, but the production looks decent, and I like the cast.
Yeah, this is very much based on the cast.
This one tugs at me, man. It tugs. This is hot take kryptonite for me. I don't have an easy to sell take on the fact that we're getting a live action Last of Us adaptation.
Well, it's getting a little Skyrim-y with the re-release Last of Us happening at the same time as a HBO show is being made about it. And I don't really know what to think of that, like up-resed, if it is even up-res with the weird re-release they're doing.
No, it is up-res. So yeah, because the original Last of Us came out at the dying breath of the PS3.
Yeah.
And it was amazing looking, but it didn't run particularly well. And then we got a PS4 re-release, which ran fantastic and looked better, obviously. And now we're getting a PS5 re-release, which looks even better. So it's odd.
All I've seen is complaints about that game because the shadows make people's faces warped and people don't like it. And I use people in the internet like sense. Like, I don't know these people. They're showing up on my Twitter when I go there to tweet about business. And I'm like, what? Oh, I'm leaving.
Why are we mad?
Hang on, I'm just here temporarily. Let me type my tweet and get out of here. Why are we upset? I have no frame of reference. Who are you?
Yeah, but anyway, finally happened. We finally got a look at this besides just a still image.
I'm so happy that they're changing up the casting now because I do not want to see Last of Us just done as a movie. It just
just like go get the actors that were the characters.
Well, even then, like
it wouldn't work. By the way,
no, because it wouldn't work. Because
actor that plays Ellie is taller in real life and older, is not a child.
Well, and Joel is an actor, but he plays so many roles.
It's Troy Baker, right? And Troy Baker is like more like us in real life. He's like tall and lanky.
Right, but he's a little like in person. He seems a little bit like showing up at your party with a guitar type, and I'm kind of like, ooh, Troy Baker, you're stealing the show a bit. And
I like despite those NFT tweets, I can get down with Troy Baker.
Oh, was he involved in that? Okay.
Yes, he was.
Who
wasn't?
Yeah,
Kyle?
yeah.
Who wasn't trying to sell you an NFT?
It was the same.
I love Seth Green. The man tried to make a show about NFTs.
Right. Everyone walked in the room and wrote NFTs and then drew cash lines through the S, and everyone was on board. Why not?
Listen, you got that much money to play with. You're going to dip your toe in every potential money pond just to see what bites.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing with...
There's a certain point where it's the rando NFT bros on Twitter that are just like, go away. I don't keep it in church. Get off my doorstep.
Well, and you got your Keanu Reeves types too, who just, don't pay for any stuff like that. And then you got Jennifer Aniston, who just has publicists. Like, she's not actually up to that much. She just has really good publicists that are always making stuff about her. I'm sure Keanu Reeves' life is fascinating too, but he just doesn't pay anybody to make him, go on magazine covers.
And apparently stylists, because Jennifer Aniston is just one of those people that somehow just keeps looking better the older they get. I don't know how it works.
Good for them, yeah. Why not?
I wish that worked for me. It's a shame. Can I get a Patreon goal, Kyle? I want to hire Jennifer Aniston stylist.
It was a weird trailer to squeeze at the end of this 2-minute long video, which is showing off sports and then an intense amount of like people just being people and angry. And at the very end,
that's HBO, because I think it opens with the new Game of Thrones show that just premiered this past weekend, which I think we'll probably get up to that a little bit in the after show and put that up for patrons. But so it's just HBO, man. You ever watch HBO? There's plenty of like just real world dramas, but also they have a few genre projects going on.
It's weird, I fire up Game of Thrones and there's a woman staring intensely in the eyes and going, "Do you want to have an affair?" And I'm like, "What? Maybe, but in a fantasy world, like, show the dragons. And what are you doing?"
Well, they also you probably just didn't. You're blinking, you missed it. There's also the new Batman show that's about Alfred on there.
Oh, is he like an assassin butler?
Well, actually, everyone's been memeing on it because it's called Pennyworth, and I believe season 2 they're renaming it to Pennyworth: Batman's Butler or something like that because no one knows what the show's about.
Sure. Got a little
Oh
confused.
shit! I missed that. Blinking, you missed it. They finally teased season 3 of Warrior. Which, have you watched that show yet? You would like that show.
It's Warrior.
It's just called Warrior. It's a kung fu show.
Play? Oh,
It's Warrior, and it's based on a found script that Bruce Lee's daughter found, and she's one of the showrunners, producers, I believe, on it. The show's amazing. You need to watch Warrior.
Okay.
Yeah. After you're done watching Harley Quinn, watch Warrior. This is just a giant shill segment for HBO. I'm not sponsored, but it's my favorite app, and I would like them to stop losing money, please. Thank you.
Sure. I'm just looking at the imagery. I could get into this. What's the? Granted, probably the one that I've seen the most that looks like this is Kung Fu Hustle, which is a comedy movie. But
yeah, this is more serious. But I know you like. I don't know what to call it, but I know you like sexy, action-packed, traditionally hyper-masculine stuff. That you're a fan of that, and Warrior is that, man. Like, Jesus Christ, it is so bombastic, and everyone in it is like in the best shape of their lives, and
sure,
it's a good show. It's a really
you could have
good
just said you find muscular people funny. And that's all. That sums it up.
I actually didn't know that. You find it amusing.
The whole reason I work out is because I think it's more funny to be buff and doing things than it is to just be kind of normal looking, right?
So that's the whole reason you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Exactly. Well, and that's why I don't like the newer season stylistically as much, because they went with a much more trim look for everybody, even adapted the characters. Though it is
my favorite for action is like the agile characters. So that's why I always come back to Prince of Persia, because the prince in that is like, that's like the ideal hero. Like, I love an agile. I prefer agility to strength most of the time. Yeah. Probably because I'm so horribly uncoordinated in real life. So to me, that's the superpower I'd go with. I want like Spider-Man powers.
Oh yeah. If I could have any, I'd do like Raven from Teen Titans. I like shields. I would do shields in real life.
Actually, I'd probably go. To me, just teleportation just seems like the coolest freaking superpower. So Nightcrawler, like, that would be.
Dude, that intro scene to that bad movie. What was it? X-Men 2 or 3? Where
I'm sorry, are you calling X-Men 2 bad?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Oh, the internet is coming for you. It is literally the best X-Men movie.
No, the best one was the first one where they were like dueling on top of the Magneto.
The first one is barely watchable today. Go back and watch it. It's okay at best. 3 is unwatchable. 2 is the best one.
Remember, my favorite character, Cyclops. So when Cyclops starts becoming all mopey, I don't like it anymore.
But that's Cyclops. Cyclops' character is mopey because he's no fun to be around and no one likes him.
But he's the only one being responsible. The team wouldn't work if Big Brother Cyclops wasn't there.
Oh my God. I look forward to your mentions, sir.
I had no idea. What?
X-Men 2 is like everyone's favorite X-Men movie. Growing up for me, everyone I know, like, you ask them what's the best X-Men movie, Windmill Slam X-Men 2.
Huh.
Yeah, it's the best one. The first one has that terrible Sabretooth that looks like the lead singer of Metallica fell into the goo from RoboCop.
Wait a minute. Oh man, it's been a long time. It was also like really tiny Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, he wasn't Hugh Jacked Man yet.
Yeah, he was just kind of normal jacked man.
Yeah. Nowadays, Logan's my favorite X-Men movie, but
that lightning frog line is so bad though. Oh,
yeah, that's that same movie. That's X-Men 1. That's the X-Men movie you're going to bat for.
They're all bad. They've all got moments of just horrible.
2 isn't. I will argue 2 is great.
3 was the one where Magneto made like the army of mutants and like.
And they went to Alcatraz and they like ripped up the Golden Gate Bridge and dropped it. Yeah, and they had the "I'm the Juggernaut bitch" joke in the movie.
Yeah.
3's bad. I still like the special effects when Wolverine's walking up to Phoenix though, and it's like burning his skin away. For some reason, I still just think that looks cool, but that movie's bad.
Well, I mean, if you want to see Wolverine get melted, you can just watch The Fountain.
I've never seen The Fountain.
It's not a good time.
My favorite Hugh Jackman movie that isn't Logan is the Prestige.
Sure, that's just a good one.
Yeah.
Got him versing Batman in there too.
It's also my favorite Nolan movie that isn't Dark Knight. Anyway, can you tell there's not much to chew on in The Last of Us?
No, but it looks like they're hitting the bases, and as long as they're doing Bill and all that, I'm just gonna have some fun.
I expected us to be tearing this apart for being like it's useless, and now you have convinced me that I might like it.
Well, there's
which
also
is not how I saw this.
There's also this flash here at the very end where they show like the practical effects looking. You know, I honestly I kind of have a hard time. I'm getting there. You know, I'm not quite my parents when I see a Disney movie and they're like, oh, the Baloo looks so real. I'm like, Mom, Dad, come on now. Like, it's not, Lion King doesn't look that good. But no, like, there's a person on the wall here and they look like they're practical effects and they got kind of the, mushroom face going on. And I'm like, yeah, okay. If we're going to get even, it's a little shaky cam. It's a little, cheaper looking. Video games, of course, have the thing where it's all graphics all the way through. So there's not that immersion break when graphics turn on and off and on and off. But
yeah, it's like spending a few minutes in a cold pool. Eventually you stop noticing.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's cold outside the pool and you get back in the pool, it feels warm again. So it seems like they're doing some practical zombie effects, and they flash one of the zombie and it looks pretty decent. So as long as they have fun with it and they explore the reality of doing that game in reality, which shouldn't be too hard. I mean, honestly, the back half is all just people being horrible to each other. The meat carvers and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm mildly worried from a visual aspect that it's not gonna be as beautifully overgrown as the first game is.
Oh, you're talking about when you go into the city and like everything's Kirby. Like Kirby did for his
okay, so first of all, Kirby came after The Last of Us. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah. If I could nerd rage for a second, Last of Us was first. Yeah, no, that's exactly like that was really what sold me on. That's what got me to pick up The Last of Us in the first place, was just the visual world building. And then I started playing and I was like, holy shit, this game is well written. But yeah, I digress. I cannot believe you. I'm going to watch this because of you. What the hell is happening? Let's talk about our main game this week. Let's talk a little Final Fantasy 14. So last week, Kyle, you and I had we chewed the fat on the fact that we found out that role quests in Shadowbringers and Endwalker are apparently pretty good, and we should probably at least consider being able to do them, which means we need to have one job per role to level 70?
Correct. Well, maybe like 72 and 74 and that sort of thing as we go through it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they pop up. They're kind of garnished throughout the leveling experience is what I've been told. I don't want to go look it up. I don't want to Google anything. I'm afraid I'll get spoiled. So everything I'm learning is from hearsay and from trying to discern chat and YouTube comments and all that kind of stuff, which has honestly been a lot of fun. But every once in a while, I absorb wrong information.
Happens.
But we've locked them in. We sat down on stream last week, had a little chat. One of our wonderful Discord members even made a little graphic for us. And so we figured out, what we don't need to worry about, what we're going to solo level by ourselves, and what we're going to do on a co-op stream.
Yes.
We're going to Dancer together, Kyle.
Dude, I didn't expect that, but hey, it's ready.
Are you ready for some Dance Dance Revolution?
I'm shocked. Like every time we talk about Dancer and I talk about my gyrations, people just talk about how fun the class is. It's fluid, it's reactionary, it's all proc based, and to me that's just like, oh, video game telling me what buttons when to press when. That doesn't sound fun to me, but everybody loves it. It's a darling, the internet darling that is Dancer.
It's one of the most passionate groups of Final Fantasy players that I hear from when it gets brought up. Same, that's my experience as well. That and everyone agreeing with me that Dark Knight is the best class. Class, yeah. No, it's just the best class, Kyle.
Oh,
there's no quantifiers. It's just the best class.
I see.
Yeah, it's just the best class.
I'm excited for this. So we are going to be keeping to our ready roles. You got the Dark Knight, I got the Samurai. We're going to be working on getting our various other classes together. I've got Gladiator at like 54. Astrologian, I'm already working on at 68, so that's almost ready. And then I'm going to do Red Mage as my whiz biz.
Were you forced? Because you seem like you weren't into Red Mage at all.
No, I like Red Mage. It's very cool. It's very proc-based, and it's what got me playing on controller in the first place. Because I don't like finger navigating suddenly to keys. Like, something about the keyboard, it might just be like World of Warcraft burnout over the years, but like the idea of being on a keyboard and it's like, hit 7 right now. I'm like, I kind of don't want to. But controller games, God of War, quick time events, like a controller being like, hey, go hit B. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm there. Like, yeah, that takes skill. Watch me hit B, video game. And Red Mage is intensely proc-based because everything you do kind of has this 50% proc to get a certain kind of spell that unlocks, and then cast another spell based on that. My only problem with Red Mage is that when you go in for your top damage, you're kind of like a wizard fencer, and you build up your bars, and then you dive in and wizard fence for a little bit. The wizard fencing doesn't feel as good as samurai, so your high-octane moment of being in melee is less than just being samurai the whole time. So in that way...
In your opinion.
Yes, in my opinion. So in that way, I would rather long-term be samurai. But I do think Red Mage, when I compare Black Mage and Wizardry to other things, is the best wizard that there is.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Thaumaturge over the weekend just because our job quest talk last week, it just got me. I just wanted to try something new. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to be able to level Black Mage fast enough to have it ready for roll quest by the time we start Shadowbringers properly. But that quest is really, or that class, that job, I guess it's a class because Thaumaturge is what you start as, and eventually you become the job of Black Mage. Anyway, it's really cool. Right out of the gate, you have a balancing act to do between your fire and your blizzard spell or buff, right? You get that buff when you do fire and frost spells. I really like that. Like, I don't even have that many abilities, and it's already interesting to play.
It's a mini game, and it's so easy coming from World of Warcraft to be like, what is this? This is a wizard, like a mage. You're gonna press 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. But now it's more like 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. But it gives it, with the mixing and the other spells, enough of an exchange and rhythm and something to do your macro. I mean, I think of StarCraft a lot when I think of Final Fantasy XIV because they're so aware of what the player is doing when they design these classes. Much like StarCraft 2 looked at StarCraft 1 and said, you know what? Like, Zerg actually doesn't have that much to do. Let's get queens involved. Terran, we want to give something else that differentiates that faction from the others. So let's give them mules. And in order to be optimized, there's now a skill ceiling that's raising because we've added these things. And they've done that with Black Mage. Thaumaturge becomes Black Mage in Final Fantasy XIV. My one problem and why I don't really want to be a long-term Black Mage is you have something called Leyline you put under your feet, which is like a magical buff zone, which is super cool. Like, I love the idea of like setting up and like the idea that you might get out your chalk and maybe do some Full Metal Alchemist business. But this game intensely asks you to move around and dodge stuff all the time. And the idea that I put down my special base and it's like, get out of it, tilts me. I don't want to live in that world where I'm constantly being I can barely break my own cast sometimes because it's almost done. Surely the breath attack will last a little longer and I can complete my cast.
This is not a dig. It is just a fact of life. But the word greed gets yelled in our chat 9.9 times out of 10 because of something you're doing.
True. Technically, though, tanks do greedy things all the time. They just pop mitigation.
It's called mechanics that are going to hit you anyway, Kyle.
Exactly.
That's not greedy. That's how the game works.
We did Hydra this week. We know.
Listen.
You felt the clothy life.
Oh, yeah. Although, in our defense, we just straight up didn't know the mechanics of that fight.
That's true.
We were just doing the fight wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's been too many years. Maybe I just don't like cloth so much anymore. Red Mage with a disengage with an engage just has some stylish mobility that makes it a little more fun. and I'm
I can respect
impressed.
that.
I'm impressed by Black Mage. I did not expect to like it, but it's not something I want to invest in a long time.
Fair. I'm just enjoying tanking too much, and I told myself I wasn't going to do it again, Kyle, but here I am.
We
Can't help myself.
Yeah, look at our videos, man. Like, look at the YouTube. Like, I'm sitting here playing Samurai in our streams, every week, and yet all my videos I won't shut up about healing mechanics and what the healers are up to. Like, we all have our passions, and we all gravitate back to them no matter how much we fight it.
Well, too, yeah. And if I'm being honest with myself, I wouldn't care if tanking wasn't fun in Final Fantasy 14, but it is. Like, they've done a good job with it. It's fun. I feel challenged. I just have a good time. And plus, now I'm playing it with you, man. Nothing makes you want to like do specific roles faster than having specific friends that you regularly play with. Because you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get in. You're this, I'm that, and you always have those roles filled out.
Exactly. Like, anytime a solo play game is like, drop a robot that gives a buff. I'm like, why? For who? But if I'm playing co-op, second that pops up, all points, diving straight into there. I'm like, you guys, everybody, you do 5% more damage. And they don't give a crap, but I feel great.
Indeed. I mean, if we end up with a static, dude, if we really end up chasing extremes and eventually savages, which I want to do, I think they'll give a crap.
Yeah.
They'll start. You run with someone long enough, and you try and push hard enough content for a long enough time, you start to care about that stuff. I remember back in Wrath of the Lich King, we had my other tank who was a warrior. I forget what the talent was, but spec a very specific way so that I had one extra mitigation as a paladin, so that the warrior took the talent that adds mitigation to the intercept target.
Okay.
And we had the warrior spec that way just for the Lich King fight, because we needed just one more piece of mitigation on me because I was the main tank for the fight. I don't even remember what for, but it was like I had run out of mitigation for one particular damage burst moment, and we had the warrior take that mitigating intercept talent, I think, and yeah, that's the type of shit that's just ridiculous.
Dude,
and I love it, and it's such a memory.
Dude, I'm getting that I hate nerd chills. I'm trying to come up with another phrase, but like, man, that shit, I love it. There's nothing better as a DM when you have nothing to do, because you're dungeon mastering the table and you presented such an interesting puzzle that the players are just going for like a straight hour, and you're just sitting there just digging it. And I love the idea that anyone would be like, how do we solve this in an MMO? And then they go to the drawing board, they start going through their specs. Those are the moments I love most, and everybody's just nerding out.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy 14 in that type of minutia is different, right? Because there's no talents. There's the playing field is level in that way. If you're let's use Black Mage as an example, you have the access to the exact same tools as every other Black Mage, right? Because there's no spec. And I don't think one is better than the other, but I think it's interesting. And it's this added layer of newness for me that I'm enjoying sinking my teeth into as we're playing through this game, and especially as we're finally taking our first steps into like hard boss content. So
I don't know if it gets that class or job dependent as you go. I love the idea, of course, because every player can be all the jobs. If someone's like, listen, we really, really need a red mage for this, and you can be like, yeah, let me work on that. Like, give me a month, I'll be ready. Let's go do that. That sort of stuff. Work you can do for a team outside of your raid night. That's when an MMO is at the most crunchy and good for me.
I dig it.
So you're going to go down the co-job that is Scholar and Summoner.
Yes. I'm going to not make this harder on myself.
Yes.
But we've gotten mixed signals on the roll quest. Some people think it's borderline required. Other people are like, I don't think it's really worth delaying the MSQ to level up jobs so you're ready for whatever. I want to do this. I'm at this personal point where I want to do it. We've been really trying to see as much of the story as possible in the moments when we should be seeing it. We're not going back for a lot of stuff. We did this week to do some Mold of Realm Reborn trials we hadn't seen before, but this is where I'm personally at this point. I want that. I don't think the game works like that, but I want the best ending. I just want to see as much of it as I can in my first playthrough.
Well, and like when we started meeting some of the characters and they were like, the hero of the Coils of Bahamut. I'm like, hell yeah. Yeah, I am. Even though we got ran through it by John. Like, he did just.
Yeah, I want to see that story.
Exactly.
And, my God, at this point, like without getting into specifics in case you don't want spoilers here, but at this point, we just had a big moment with Alizé, and I'm glad that we did Coils of Bahamut because it seems like she's being called up to main character status. So there's just a lot of times where we've done side stuff, non-required stuff for the MSQ, and it's paid off later in ways that I really enjoy. Only one is probably Black Rose, where I'm like, I kind of wish I skipped that because it kind of gave away something ahead.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
I'm gonna be working for the Bard. I really want a Bard. I will do Dancer with you, but physical range DPS, I want a Bard. It's gonna be a lot of work.
I kind of want a Bard too.
I know, but I mean, you could catch up. Like we could go there. You know, I think I'm 19 or something like that.
You're only 19 on your Archer?
Yeah, I'm not far.
That's physical range, right? What do we have in the physical range slot?
Physical range is Archer.
Oh, that's what we were thinking about for Dancer, right?
Machinist, Mechanist, Machinist, and Dancer.
No, so Dancer, that was going to be our easy one, so we could just like have like 1 or 2 co-op streams to get them up to like 70 range.
Exactly.
We'd make some people mad, but it's kind of what I want to do.
We'll see, man.
We'll see what is. We'll see what's going on. Yeah. Yes, I'm aware Reaper can go straight into Shadowbringers. I'm aware of that Siplexus. I know in chat.
Reaper would be fun.
Anyways, dude, I'm just really enjoying this game. Which should seem like go without saying because we have essentially a dedicated YouTube to it. But we all of the content we put up video wise on YouTube, it's like for a purpose. And we don't get to kind of have these meta conversations about where it lives in our gaming diet, right? And like Final Fantasy 14 for me right now, like it's kind of reached only game status.
Yeah, they're the AAAs are the big ones you're catching. Like I talked about earlier, I was playing a little bit of StarCraft Remastered because I got that. I've been going through the 2-point games because I always just enjoy those. But this is the main project in the background, and heck, it's it just had a really big patch. 6.2 just came out, and I've heard it's great. I've heard it's a lot of fun. I've heard the trial is insane. I don't know anything about it, but this is just what my buddy John's saying, and it's a fascinating thing. So if you're not familiar, if you made through all this and you're not familiar at all with Final Fantasy, this week Guild Wars 2 came out on Steam, and it was all over Twitch. Everyone was playing Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 seemed like it was about to be the biggest MMO in the world. It's already dropped off a lot, but a lot of people were checking it out. And Final Fantasy has this huge patch. Everyone's super excited, and then Twitch doesn't move an inch. Twitch does not care. Guess why? Because it's a story game, and no one wants to be spoiled and watching other people play through the story, or they're too busy doing the content inside the game. So Final Fantasy has like zero Twitch presence when new releases happen. And as such, a lot of people who use that as a gauge of interest avoid the game and think it's bad. And instead, the majority of those people who invest in that sort of thing actually played Guild Wars 2 this week instead.
That's interesting. I mean, to talk shop as a content creator, like it makes me think that when we are current, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm happy to like wait to go through that content anyway, because we'll probably be too busy editing other things in the first place. Because I'm assuming most people wouldn't even want to watch us because they'd be playing through it themselves. So
there's a market for it as long as your thumbnail isn't spoiler. Like there are people who are watching videos being made about this right now. But I agree. Like that sounds really chill. Plus, I hate lines. I hate MMO lines even more than real life lines. And the idea of like anytime, in particular, Blizzard, of course, comes to mind. But anytime Blizzard's like brand new game out today, I'm like, see you in a week. Because I'm just gonna.
Are stable.
Yeah, and personally, like I remember I was at a GameStop and the Elder Scroll MMO was on the horizon. I was there to pick up my collector's edition, or Kristen's collector's edition of Diablo 3. And they're like, hey, do you want to pre-order the Elder Scrolls MMO? I'm like, no, I don't want someone teabagging the king while I'm trying to talk to him. And I feel that same way about Final Fantasy. Like, I really feel like I'm having a better experience because I'm playing it late. I don't want to be in there day one when everyone's surrounding the NPC. Granted, Final Fantasy has a lot of cutscenes, so you're often isolated very quick. It feels very personal. But
hey, Kyle, I know for the video audience, you're showing stuff. While you're talking about you don't want to see people crowded around anything, you should just go to any random point in our stream to make yourself look like a jack.
Again, that my point being that when you get into cutscenes in this game, oftentimes you are talking to them directly. It's more of your buddies with the main characters and all that.
That happens in ESO as well, by the way.
Now, if anybody, I didn't know ESO did so many cutscenes, but I will address the comment you have brought up. If anybody wants to role play, I love you. Like those of you who like are in our streams and like leaning on a wall casually, or sitting at a table, or like reading a book, or drinking tea, or pretend to be a bartender. Oh, that's good. Oh my goodness. If you guys want to fill out a main city and then like hang out and like set yourself to walk and like casually walk by, hell yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's the kind of, I'm so mad at reality sometimes because I thought MMOs would be a little further at this point. Like we would be having devs log in to be monsters and do weird stuff. It'd be more like a theme park in that way. But we're still a little electronic. We're still a little queue based and making sure the content is always available, which is fine. Frankly, I can't be online all the time. I wouldn't catch everything live when it comes up, but I would just love it if like there was a dev for World of Warcraft that played the Knights Guard captain and would like wander around and do shit and like arrest people. Like your job at an MMO company is to be an actor.
Quite the journey you have taken me on. But yeah, you should watch season 1 of Westworld.
Role playing is really important to me. Yeah, it's just people having sex with robots is all I've heard. So I didn't. Then the robots.
That's like saying Final Fantasy 14 is just a weeb game where people want to be hot bunny girls.
Okay, you got me there. Sure, Westworld could be interesting.
Boy, where have I heard anyone discount Final Fantasy 14 before? Huh. I can't think of anyone in my life that was that dismissive of such a great game. I really can't.
Weird.
So,
what a weird comment.
Yeah, don't go scrolling back on our YouTube. Thank you. There's a very specific video that people revisit on our channel that I think started at like 700 views and it has crept up to like 4,000 and still to this day it gets like one comment a week.
The legacy.
It's good.
Part of the legacy.
It's legacy content. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. You know what else is, Kyle? Questions from our lovely listeners. You want to get to it?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello there. Hello there.
Hello there.
You can send your emails to feedback@startgrindinggear.com, or if you're supporting us on Patreon or a member of our YouTube channel, either works. You get access to our members and patron-only channels in our Discord, and we have a dedicated question channel right there. Drop us a question. I have a mega doc of all the questions you have sent. And today, we're going to take a few of them. I'm going to break this up, Kyle, and I'm going to let you choose, Kyle. You get to choose your own adventure today in our questions.
Okay.
Do you want to start with content creation questions or Final Fantasy 14 questions?
Let's do content creation. We were just there. We'll make a Final Fantasy 14 sandwich.
Ooh, I like it. That makes content creation the Oreo filling, the best part of the Oreo. Nano. Yes, you do. You don't. Yeah, man. You just. There's no point.
The
There's no point
gluten-free
in the other
ones are double stuffed.
They have gluten-free Oreos?
Yeah, they do. They're also made with no high fructose corn syrup.
Sure. I forget what the brand is. There's a brand you go down the healthy sweet stuff aisle, and they just have like the all natural not Oreos. I don't know what the brand is, but it's better than real Oreos. The cream is creamier.
Dude,
it's
Newton's is using high fructose corn syrup. Man, I thought Newton's was cool. I know.
What? By the way, this is the most mid-30s conversation we've ever had.
Yeah, that's true.
Enjoy, everybody. Nano wrote in and said, I have a question for you guys. How do you maintain such a strong friendship, even with the extremely different positions you take on many things? So many people in the age of algorithms are eager to cut off anyone who disagrees with them on the tiniest thing, but you guys have such great chemistry, partly because of your differences. To me, it's never been easier, dude. There's so many people getting loud and proud about horrible things in public that when you're like, oh, I don't really like Obi-Wan all that much, I'm like, oh, thank God that's the only thing we disagree on. What a minor thing to disagree on.
Sure. No, there's a lot of people in this world who like there's a lot of peaceful moments, right? Like you're playing a Game Boy, I just got an alert. Everything okay?
Oh, apparently, yeah, we're gonna have some chat.
Oh, jeez. Well, it was a quick one this time. It was a very, very quick one. Anyway.
So shit's still happening.
Yeah, but it was a very quick one this time, which is interesting.
Oh, that's good.
It's a tiny F's in chat.
Small F's in chat.
No, I think there can be a lot of peace for people who just hang out and like you're playing a Game Boy and they're reading a book. Like it's not so different, honestly. Like I think there's a lot of people in this world who pursue everyone doing the same thing, and that's where they find comfort. And like everyone has to be in the same boxes, have the same interests, and they surround themselves, and you end up in this. Frankly, echo chamber is often used in like a bad way, but I just kind of find it boring. I don't want to hang out with anybody who agrees with me all the time.
Yeah. The variety of the spice of life is an overused idiom, but it's one I really like. I think too, you and I specifically find each other's what we respond to interesting. So even if you don't like something or you do like something that I'm the opposite on, I'm curious why you react the way that you do. Because sometimes it changes my mind, other times it doesn't, but I still find it fascinating, like what you value versus what I value.
I agree. And it's frankly good for content creation. There's a lot of videos that are made covering one point. And in fact, in this last week's video, you made the analogy that I was all about prequel politics and you want to talk about lightsaber fights. I think that's the most true thing you've ever said. There are things we both hyper focus on, and as a solo content creator, that's the kind of video you'd make, and it'd be very one tone in that, which isn't bad. Like there's tons of content creators I go to because they're gonna give me exactly what I want. I want to hear their opinion on this thing because I already agree with them.
Yeah. I like we have friends that do another podcast called Great Night. Justin Robert Young and Brian Brushwood. Whenever they talk movies, I tend to never. There are a few people I disagree with more on their movie opinions, but I find it really interesting why they like and don't like certain things. So like, even though I'm like, oh come on, I love that movie, you totally missed the point. It doesn't matter. I have a good time listening to like why they respond to the things that they respond to. So it's kind of how I live my life. I don't know. You started to get into it. It made me think of just like being in a relationship, man. Like you don't agree on everything.
No, you
like
can't.
Katie and I have a lot of shared interests, but gaming isn't really one of them. Every once in a while, Katie and I'll like land on the same game, but there's also just great stretches of time where Katie don't play games. Like she doesn't always have to have a game in her life, and she can go months at a time without ever touching a game. So the time that Kitty's even engaging in games is rare, and the time that we're both engaged in the same game is even rarer. But it's fine because she ends up getting into other things. She got into mini painting, which got me back into Gunpla for a bit there. And so that to me, Gundam models.
Oh,
that's the technical term for it, Kyle.
I see.
Yes, because then she learned how to airbrush, and I was like, holy shit! I remember doing Gundam models when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And all I ever wanted to do was airbrush, and I have an entire 08th MS team Gundam primed and ready to go. That then school got busy, and I haven't painted it yet. It's just sitting on a bunch of pegs. I can't wait to graduate, dude. Oh my god. I digress. You don't need to agree on all the same stuff.
There is a episode of classic SpongeBob, you know, that original team doing the SpongeBobs, where SpongeBob hosts a party, a house party.
Okay.
And he's got this long list of things they're all supposed to do. They're supposed to play games at certain time periods. The food's supposed to roll out at a certain moment. And he gets locked out of the house. And he's locked out there all night. And finally, as the party ends, they exit, 7 a.m. They got lampshades on their heads like they do in cartoons. They all turn to him and say, that was the best party I've ever been to. And that is such a true lesson, like to get out of the way of people having fun and not restrict everybody to what you want to do when you gather a party together. And that always stuck with me a lot. That in the cardboard box episode. I love that one where he's imagining in the box and Squidward can't handle it. But I just think that's such a true lesson about just like letting people be themselves, and the fun will flow naturally from that.
It's a good way to put it, because I think I struggled for a long time to get out of my own way, and Most of my adult life has been learning how to.
That's fair.
I think I still get in my own way plenty of times. I don't think I'm a master at this by any means, but I think the growth I've experienced as an adult has been a lot about learning how to go with the flow better, because I definitely was awful about it in my younger years. So, yeah. Thanks for the question, Nano. Abovan wrote in and said, I'm always interested in how people do their podcasts or YouTubes, whatever it has to be. What is it like talking to an audience of 700 to 1,000 viewers for nearly every show? Is it something you developed, or do you feel like you are just in a living room playing video games with a bunch of friends? We kind of got thrust into it because we never used to have that many viewers, is the God's honest truth of this.
Sure.
It was when we started experimenting with YouTube content with Nexus Gaming News. We were doing gaming news videos on YouTube. I wasn't interested in Final Fantasy 14. Kyle was like, let's cover the trend of people swapping to Final Fantasy 14 as a news thing, like as a news topic. I was like, okay. And in covering that, I got interested again. Gave it another shot, and then the rest is history. So we started making these Final Fantasy videos, and people are like, "Yo, we really want you to stream your MSQ." And I was pretty dismissive at first, but I just never really thought of myself as a streamer. So I was like, no, nobody wants to watch us just go through the story. And people wouldn't let up. They're like, no, you should really do it. Like, you should really stream your MSQ. And so we started streaming towards the end of Heaven's Ward. And it instantly blew up. I've never had anything like it in my life. Angry Chicken was close. When we did that podcast, when we launched that podcast, it grew really fast, but it wasn't like this. I think we had 300 viewers on our first test stream of Final Fantasy. We didn't even have cams on.
No cams on for that.
So it was this conflux of, we were already doing stuff on YouTube. We'd already gathered, a modest audience of people that watched the videos that we put up. But then we flipped the switch, went live, and we were like, holy crap, look how many people are here. Because when we were doing Heroes of the Storm streams, it was like 40 people. A good night would be like 80. So we were just kind of like, holy crap, YouTube's insane. Because we went from Twitch. We swapped games, and we also swapped platforms, and we also swapped mediums. Like, we had a lot of change all at once. So in a way, I think we were doing so much stuff. I don't know about, I'm not going to speak for you, Kyle, but we were juggling so many things. We were spinning so many plates at the same time. I didn't really stop to kind of even realize that we were streaming to that many people. So I didn't really have the time to get nervous. So yeah, that's the long answer. My short answer is, it does kind of just feel like I'm hanging out in my living room playing video games with my buddy Kyle. And the chat is, even though it's a bunch of individual people, it's its own character. It kind of, to me, it blends, like the chat blends into, it's this other interactive experience of being live, where it feels like a third friend. Even though it's hundreds of people, it feels like a third person that's involved.
I'm a little different about that. Granted, I did a lot of solo streaming and co-streaming with Kristen of Heroes of the Storm at the height of our daily streams, so 4 days a week. About 200 people were in that audience. That would have been 2018, right before the HGC cancellation. Funnily enough,
Damn, I didn't know you got that high. That is a fantastic audience for Heroes on Twitch.
Yeah, well, and that's why it was so shocking when they canceled HGC and started moving development away, because it was the biggest it had ever been for us. I was doing lessons on the weekend. I was doing a lot of coaching for their MOBA strategy game. So because of that experience, no matter how the number changes, I feel like the individuals entered my room. Like, in that way, all y'all are here. I'm sitting in a room by myself right now, but it's insane because when we take down the stream, I feel you all leave. And it's all individuals. And I love that there is consensus when you see the chat, screaming by. But there's also those individual voices. And because of, maybe my own reading issues or the speed of which I can comprehend, you can get the feeling of the room, but I can't digest it. So what I see as individuals pass by. To me, it's more like, being a DJ and people are walking up and giving requests directly to you. And you catch the ones you can and you play what you can for the room that's available to you. Like someone might, walk up and request, what does the fox say at a wedding? And you're like, maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not today.
But you'll take
Maybe
another
not today.
suggestion. All those individuals make up that audience. And I really enjoy it. I mean, I find it fascinating. And coming from so much time, and that would have been, I wasn't doing 9 hours. I wasn't a streamer. But I was streaming 3 to 4 hour blocks, 4 days a week, plus the shows. It was certainly a change up in just the raw numbers. Some ways easier, because you have that energy in the chat room screaming by. And you don't have to address anybody. But some ways harder, too, because you can't have those one-on-one interactions. Like, it's really sad. Maybe not sad isn't the right word, but there's a melancholy when I meet really awesome people online right now. And you're like, you are so damn cool. I want to spend more time with you, but I got to get to the next email.
I feel that in my bones. It's because it happens a lot when we stream. Like I get whispers in game and stuff like that, and I'm like, I like to think of myself as a polite person. I was raised to be polite, and if someone's talking to you, you give them the time of day, you make eye contact, all that kind of stuff. So like when we're playing, and at the end of the night, I go over to my tells tab and I see all those missed tells. I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some anxieties, but I would feel overall, I bet if I was doing it alone, it'd be a lot more like I'd be a lot more conscious of it. But because I've got you to bounce off of, and we've got this two-pronged like way of keeping an eye on things. Yeah. That being said, that 4.4 stream got really big, and there are times where it's like, I don't know. I like live music. You said DJ, so I think of growing up going to concerts, and there was a big difference from like going to local punk venue and seeing like your mid-tier bands with like a 400 person crowd, but then you go to like Green Day comes to town, you go to the arena. The way the bands work the audience are completely different, and they're made for the size of the audience, right? Because when you have a smaller crowd, you can take that time, like you said, to have those intimate interactions. But when that 4.4 stream, it got real big. That's where you have to make a splash, and yeah, it can be easy to miss stuff. But we stuck around after that and made sure we didn't miss any of the at least the super chats and stuff. But it's, hey Kyle, I'm going to use a phrase I know you hate.
What, living and breathing world?
It's a living and breathing
No. We're developing.
All right. Well, definitely a bold vision.
Yeah.
Yep. We're developing a bold vision.
A bold vision.
Bold vision. Yeah. No, but no, I've been lucky with the Final Fantasy 14 stuff has gone so fast that and the big thing for me is I don't think I've had time to stop and get worried about it. We're just kind of having fun, and at the simplest level, we're doing what we want to do because it's fun, and everyone so far has been responding for the most part in a positive fashion when we're having a good time. So
no, that's something that Brushwood talks about is one foot in front of the other. In fact, you'll find many people who talk about this. Terry Crews has a long talk about you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards, and oftentimes when you're juggling plates, you just keep walking forward to keep the momentum, so you hold on to those plates.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely, it's good. It's good advice. It's good advice. It also helps you be present. You're not going to realize that you need to do that unless you're aware of the current situation. So, hey, speaking of Final Fantasy 14, let's we got a couple questions about that. We actually have a lot more, but I pulled a few for today. Addie asked, wants to know what our least favorite aspect of Final Fantasy 14 has been so far. So, we've been pretty complimentary towards this game, Kyle. Let's talk about how it's a giant steaming pile.
Yeah, let's be mean. No, I mean, honestly, I felt extremely disconnected with the world. It wasn't load screens necessarily. It was the fact that I couldn't walk from, Limsa to Gridania. And the way the map works in that game, I feel is kind of weak on immersion. Like there's
I absolutely do. That you went with a big example. I can't stand that I can't walk from lower Limsa to upper Limsa. Like that drives me nuts.
And the loading screens, like those don't bother me. It was more just like that and it's not even like stuff in the distance you can't go to. Because oftentimes the story is like, check out that cool tower. You're like, oh, that's nice. You're going to go there someday. You know, we just had one of these in our last bit with the burn. Like the game is very good about posing questions and covering your bases. But I do love that Elder Scrolls Skyrim. You see the Mage Tower? It's all the way over there. Set yourself a goal. You see Vegas out there in the distance, and New Vegas. You're gonna go there someday, and you can walk there. I love that immersion in video games. And
so chat who is saying you can walk from upper to lower. I mean, without a load screen. Without a load screen is what I mean. You're loading between quadrants of the city, which I think is a bit egregious for a game that came out when it did.
And I get you gotta load. Like, in particular, Final Fantasy is extremely concerned. I don't know the developer's mind on this, but this is a little off topic here, but they're very, very concerned about queues and their server stability. Like when you go into a raid, they will kick you out of that raid in an hour to make sure that server does not get overloaded with people trying for too long or even camping out inside of it. So they are intensely aware of queuing and what can happen. So there's a lot of instancing, not in the way you would know it from World of Warcraft and like ending up in different zones in a sense, not seeing other people. But there's just a lot of care given to the server's stability that can add some quirks you may not be used to.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say earlier to immediately dive out of what's not so great into what is so great about it. Like when you were talking about how you look at online games and you're like, I'll see you a week after you launch. I don't feel that way with Final Fantasy 14. At least not since their big, kind of apocalypse of like, there's just too many damn people playing this game. We got to stop selling it. But since then, I haven't had any issues getting in and playing this game. I would play it on patch day this week. I had no problem.
Yeah. That's really the only thing that bothers me. Everything else I've learned over time, like a job being kind of simplistic, or I guess they're called classes in the early bit being simplistic. I like that because that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to like relax, grind out, do 2 kinds of attacks as a rogue because I know one day this is going to be hell on earth with all the buttons I'm going to have. Like that's like literally, I love leveling off stream. It's like one of my big relaxing things I do is go find another class and start working on it. So I don't want it any other way. Even though I know that's a barrier to entry for some people. Like, oh, this class is so boring. It doesn't have intricacies. There's no talents. I'm like, well, just wait. It'll get busy for you.
You'll
Don't
get
worry.
there. Yeah, or go do harder content. It's there. Your class easy. Go run an extreme. Go run a savage. Like doing Shinryu, like really Shinryu Extreme really opened my eyes of like, oh, if I want a challenge, this game has plenty of them to throw at me. So, yeah, but I've gotten over the loading thing. Early on, that was the big reason I tried it and stopped. I was like, oh my God, this feels so old because of the loading. But I've gotten over it since. It's like, whatever. I just port. And I don't think much of it. Since then, the thing that probably bugs me the most as a current player is I love dungeons, but I hate when I get an older dungeon in roulettes and I have almost no abilities. I'm sure it would be horribly complicated to balance, but I wish I had all of my abilities even when I visit an old dungeon.
Yeah, it matters more on melee classes when you're missing your charge, whatever your gap closer is.
If I could appeal for one thing, it's like just make gap closer a level 15 ability on all jobs, please.
I totally get like that is a cool moment and you unlock it and you feel more powerful and it's such a power gain. But like when I'm playing Astrologian, which is like a healer with a magic deck, and they take away my cards because I'm too low level, I'm kind of like, well, if I must. It's like that's like playing three missions of StarCraft and they're like, here's a hero one, like you have 5 units, make it through the base. I'm like, what a relief. I don't have to build my base again or do upgrades. Sure, let's do it, Rainer.
Yeah, so I'm getting a lot of support in chat from this. Cool. And a lot of people are like, please just make gap closers just lower level, which, I think that's an actionable request, right? Like just take this one ability on all tanks, well, anyone who has a gap closer, and just give it to them. Just give it to them, let them have it from the get-go, so we can move around quickly in dungeons. And other people are saying you can limit the level of the dungeons you get, which we just learned about this week.
We did.
Which is cool. But I still want to I want to go help my friends who are just coming to the game, but also not feel like horribly limited myself when I go play that. But that I completely understand that it would be hard to balance, but it is something that irks me.
Yeah, it was particularly hard when I was learning Red Mage because I had to go level for a bit, and if I was in something too low, I couldn't practice. And same with Astrologian when they took my cards away when I was leveling. So there is an opportunity, I think, for the game to identify what the core play style is and make sure that's available for all levels of content so you become a better player. But I do like I like the fantasy. I like the fantasy. You know, I remember leveling a warrior multiple times. I loved leveling warriors in World of Warcraft because I love doing the dungeon content. And when you got charged, man, that world changed and it felt so good.
Yeah, that is the first time I remember playing an MMO and wishing I had picked a different class. I was running Stockades. And we had a warrior as a tank, and they charged in down the stairs for the first pull. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone charge. And I was just like, holy shit, what was that?
Yeah.
I need that.
With that can sound going.
Yeah, you know the one. But yeah, that's so far this has been the big things for me. That and pronouncing Rabanester.
Well, sure. Dude, I would love a character in this game that just hangs out in the main city, kind of like the Sky Wardens or whatever they are. You can go to people in Final Fantasy and find the weather in different zones. I would love it if there was the pronunciation
NPC.
Yeah, and you could go to them. And even if it was just online, when you go to D&D Beyond and it's gibbering mouther, just. Or some games have done some really cool things with RPGs. A lot of those Obsidian projects have texts, because the text adventure, they don't voice act everything. They can't, simply because of all the options and production. But the text itself will be highlighted, and if you hover, if it brings up the city of Rodntoban, you can hover over it, and it'll be Rodntoban is a city in the north, and it'll give you a little definition. And that would just be great. Gibbering mouther, exactly. Just give those a click the first time they show up.
I'm for that. All right, Ekka's going to bring us home. Asked, what is the next thing in 14 that we're excited for?
Outside of Shadowbringers and whatever cool stuff is going on there.
You can't say the next expansion. Yeah. Of course we're excited for that. That's the easy answer.
I want to see what these Kyridian dungeons are, whatever sort of the...
Oh, Criterion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I've looked it up a few times. I'm afraid to Google everything, but I trepidatiously Googled it a few times, and dude, I don't understand what they are.
No, me neither. They're not in Mythics. They're something else. But I just love dungeon content and the idea that they're trying to evolve that idea. I want to see it.
Any more dungeon content, I'm excited for. But chat room's calling it Kyrugian dungeons. I like that. Yeah, I don't know what they are, but just more anything, more dungeons, more dungeon content. Choose your own adventure path dungeon. Interesting.
Like your treasure hunts where you sort of open the doors and the doors load a new instance. Almost like a greater rift in Diablo.
Oh, and they also have difficulty levels. Okay, yeah. Some people are saying it ranges from easy to super hard.
Yeah, I like it.
And everything in between.
I love hard content.
Very cool. Awesome. I've said this before, but I'm feeling it more and more the more content we do. I'm excited to be current, which is, don't misconstrue that as me saying I want to hurry up and get through the game, because I clearly don't, because we ain't done 4 or 5 yet. But I look forward to being an endgame Final Fantasy player. There's just Endwalker looks so cool. And every time a new patch hits, I really feel this pang, I get a pang, oh, this new cool shit. I want to go see my island, but I can't. Gotta get to Endwalker before I can see my island. So it's a cool feeling because usually, I don't know, I just like a lot of MMOs. I just want to go down game. But here it's like I want to take my time, but also I daydream about what it's like to be current. So that's kind of what I'm feeling. Chat's like, when are you going to be current? Like, I don't know. I think our goal is like we don't want the next expansion to drop before we're done with Endwalker.
That would be a little bit of feels bad moment. We'd love to be a part of that energy, and
that's really I think our personal our personal operating mantra is don't take so long the next expansion comes out before you feel personally done with Endwalker. So we'll see. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Keep them coming. Feedback at startgrindinggear.com. This will bring us to the end of this episode, which means, Kyle, you got some music for me?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
Bring back the classic.
Gives me life. Makes me want to straighten up my posture. Don't be shrimping at home. Check your posture, people listening. And thank you so much. I want to thank our wonderful patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/Garrett and Kyle, or better known as supportourbromance.com. You can punch in that URL. It will take you to our Patreon. And we want to thank our latest patrons. Finn M, thanks so much for signing up.
Hyalin Wolfo.
I think it's Hylian.
Hylian.
Like Hyrule?
Yeah. Awesome.
Right? So it's a Wolfo from Hyrule?
I like it.
I think. I like that.
Thank you for
I also
support.
like Marty K.
Marty K,
Thank you,
sure.
Marty K, for signing up. Marty.
Ross K.
Dress for less?
That place is a madhouse. I can't go in there. It's too intense for me. Goodwill is
More of a
calmer than
Marshalls.
Ross.
Qatar. Just Qatar. No last name given.
Curtis B.
Thanks for the support.
Thank you for your support.
That was Curtis B. I cross-talked. Thanks, Curtis B.
To both of you.
Matthew C.
Erica S.
Thanks, Erica. And Tim M. Closing us out this week. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you to all of our patrons. And of course, there is a level of patrons that gets thanked every week. And that's our legendary level backers. Thank you, Sean B., Mike R., Zero Lambda, Stephen J., Ross A., and Wyra E. We really appreciate the support,
Hell
everybody.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Before we go, we're on Twitter. You should give us a follow. Kyle is at Kyle Ferguson. There's 2 S's in Ferguson. I am at Garrett Art. There are 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. I trust you know how to spell art. And you can follow the show account, which is, you guessed it, at Garrett and Kyle. Actually, you probably didn't guess it. I bet you thought it was Grinding Gear, but that was very taken.
You know, it worked. You know, I had a good flow.
Yeah, which is Garrett and Kyle. Go give it a follow and go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AMOVTV. And we have a clips channel now. You can go to youtube.com/grindinggearclips. It's a new channel. I think we've already gone past our first 1,000 subs, which was fantastic. So we've got our custom URL. Now we're just if you want to help us out, just watch the channel and tell your friends. That's how you help us out on that channel, because we're working our way towards monetization. That's right. So watch our videos over there on the new clips channel. Thank you. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Grinding Gear Podcast. Until next time, GG.
Take care.
We made it.
We made it.
We survived. Holy shit.
I'm including this in the VOD for anybody who watches this. We
What
made
a
it.
nightmare.
We made it.